Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Clayborn Creatures. Today I'm working on something bold and beautiful, a bright dragonfly perched on a grey pot. I've actually had this idea in my head for months, and when I found this old pot in the cellar, it finally clicked. The contrast of colour against that stone grey surface felt perfect. This piece turned into a real journey, testing a new clay, fixing mistakes, and trying to balance realism with my usual style. So I'll take you along step by step, including the bits that didn't go quite as planned. I'm starting by tracing the dragonfly directly from my reference photo on the tablet. I wanted the proportions to be as accurate as possible. Then I refine the sketch, sharpening the curves of the wings and adjusting the abdominal sections so I have a cleaner guide for the sculpt. I copy each wing onto paper and cut them out. These stencils are important later because dragonfly wings are deceptively tricky, thin, symmetrical and packed with veining. Next I cut a length of wire the size of my body template. This gives the abdomen some strength. As always, I'm using Jovi clay, familiar and forgiving. I wrap it around the wire and roll it until I get a smooth, elongated abdomen shape. I roll a small ball for the head, attach it and smooth everything into one continuous shape. Then I add a thin flat circle of clay to build up the front of the face, followed by a much smaller piece that becomes the snout area. I roll two tiny balls for the compound eyes, flatten them and press them into place. Dragonflies have huge eyes that wrap across most of the head, so this bit is fun to exaggerate slightly. With a needle tool, I start defining the facial structure, then switch between tools to soften, sharpen and blend. I lay a flat piece of clay over the thorax and smooth it in. Then I start carving the segmentation. Dragonfly bodies are made of repeating abdominal rings, and they give the insect that iconic rhythm from head to tail. I keep working down, shaping, refining, building up texture. I go back in with a needle tool to sharpen certain lines and add tiny textural elements, especially on the thorax where the muscles for the wings sit. Now the adventure begins. This is Darwi clay, and I'm using it for the first time ever. Straight away I realise it behaves completely differently. It feels spongy, a bit brittle, and it just doesn't roll into a clean ball like I expected. So instead I flatten it with my fingers, and that works much better. I press the paper wing stencil onto the clay with a bit of water, cut around with a scalpel, lift away the excess, and slice the wing off the surface. Then I smooth the edges and gently press them to thin them out. I repeat this for the remaining 3 wings. This is the pot I rescued from the cellar. I really wanted a burst of colour against the grey, something bright and alive. I spray it with water and wipe it down, then I brush on some glue, not permanently, just enough to help me position everything. I place the dragonfly body on the pot and start shaping the legs from wire. Dragonflies have 6 long, thin legs, and I insert them one by one. I actually remove and redo the back legs here because the first ones weren't in the right place. I shape a tiny cone, cut a slit into it, attach it to the end of the abdomen to form the cerci, the little tail appendages, and smooth it in. Then I roll out thin strips of clay and glue them onto each leg. It's fiddly but satisfying once they're all done. Here's everything dry, the body and the Darwi wings. The wings are surprisingly flexible and extremely light. I start with a dark brown wash all over the body to settle into the recesses. I paint the wings a pale yellow, just a soft base to build on later. Then I move on to the body, adding a bright yellow-green across the thorax and up onto the eyes and head. Turquoise goes onto the tail, blending into the brown. I brighten the edges of the eyes with a pale yellow, then deepen the centers with a medium green. Next, I add black detailing to the eyes and blend it out. Dragonfly eyes always have that dramatic contrast. touch of white on the snout adds highlight, followed by black markings, turquoise accents, a bit of yellow, even small orange details. Little green dots finish the eyes. I add pale yellow on the chin, more green on the thorax, light green highlights, brown shading, black striping down the abdomen, and more brown into the center line. Now here's where things went a bit wrong. I used a non-permanent pen to draw the wing veins, and that was a mistake. Off camera, I tried to thin the lines with paint, and that's why they look smudged. I glued the legs back on. I removed them earlier to make painting easier. Then I glue on the wings. I add more paint to the wings to try to save them. I'm still not thrilled with them, but I keep going. Then I remembered I had this 10-year-old gold leaf primer and these ancient sheets of gold leaf. And because I knew that the varnish would make the wings smudge, I thought I may as well just try the gold leaf on the wings instead. I brush primer onto the wings and the pen immediately dissolves into black sludge. Honestly good that I tested it because varnish would have done the same. Once the primer dries, I add gold leaf, press it down with a fluffy brush and remove the excess. Then I varnish over it. I varnish the whole dragonfly, most of that is off camera, and then glue it onto the pot. To keep the wings from sticking while they dry, I tuck a bit of cling film underneath. I'm honestly torn about the wings. Part of me wants to cover the whole dragonfly in gold now, and part of me wants to keep the bright colours. I'm going to live with it for a few weeks and see how I feel. What would you do? Keep the colours or go full metallic? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more of my sculptures and little experiments, hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.